All right, everybody, welcome back to the. Dude, I always forget. I've named the dang show and I don't ever remember it. The Rivals Rundown. uh, my name is Righteous. I'm doing some stuff on the back end, so I might not be as talkative today. I'm trying to make sure this is all looking nice for everybody.
True.
But um, we'll get through it. We'll make some stuff happen. Joining with me is CB, of course, CB the Barbarian. CB, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great. Uh, Excited to see what we got going on. Some people are excited to see
Yeah, a little bit
whether
of
or not
drama
they're
going
going to
on.
be happy or upset with our for fun content.
You know what? They can be upset all they like. Because at the end of the day, it's a choice to get upset. So, we
True.
we definitely take a lot of time to make these and put them together. I'm still doing it right now. But we try to make it as fair and fun as possible. So, we
And I think the best
I don't
part
know.
is if you're soft, you can always just like turn your computer off. That's
That's
the
true.
best part about freedom. So anyway, uh, we can go over what happened last week.
Yeah. We can. It was a pretty interesting week. Two O's across the board, except for the Veracity DP Hellfire series, which was interesting. The only, I mean, I guess there's a couple of results we could talk about. You're gonna have to tell me since I'm not looking
No, you're
what
good.
you're
You're good.
looking at,
Yeah.
and then
So we got the standings up. As predicted from the beginning, Sector 1 still outperforming Sector 2. Uh, Granted, if you look at the top four only from each division, it's completely tied. Then you drop down to 5th and 6th is where it leans Sector 1. So obviously, Rivals Week coming up.
our
So
week.
we'll actually see. Yeah, what a coincidence. So we'll actually get to see. But yeah, right now we have one undefeated team in each sector, and then seven, six, seven 2-1
Bunch of
teams.
2-1s. Yeah.
Yeah, so anybody's game at this point. I think anybody can still make playoffs. Um, yeah, except for CE White because they're a bunch of quitters. But
Yeah. The only way you don't make it is if you quit. That is true.
true. So what actually happened? I don't think there's anything too crazy as far as who beat who. There are a couple of games that I could have seen go either way. PLW 2-0 versus Hydro Pump. I'd say it's somewhat expected. Plasma Wolves still looking like the team to beat. Hydro Pump, at the very beginning, I thought they were one of the best teams. Right now they're sitting at 1 and 2, so they've been struggling. TDB 2-0 OSGA. Don't think there's any surprise there. TD sitting at 5th in Sector 1 despite being tied with 2nd. So um, take that for whatever it means.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going off of like the actual game score. Triumphant was talking to me about. I think the reason they're playing DP on the other side of the sector is because
They're lined
despite
up
being two
against
and
D.
one, they're
They're both 5th right now.
yeah, but despite being 2-1 in like match record for sector one, their game score is the worst of the 2-1 teams, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That might be why, but
Yeah.
anyways.
That's fair. TFF NLE, I wouldn't have been surprised if NLE won. TFF was in the 2 or 3 team group that I thought was just underperforming initially, knowing that they're a good team. So I think that one kind of proved it. I still think NLE is a solid team, but TFF was the 2-0 over them.
Yeah, I would just say the 2-0 is surprising. I wasn't surprised TFF could pick up the win. I was surprised that it didn't go 3 games. I thought it'd be a little bit closer.
Okay. I don't know. I've been a TFF believer. I mean, NLE fan because I was the homies, but TFF I think just because I think they lose their first game. Is that what it was? I think I have it up somewhere.
Yeah, they did against Plasma Wolves.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like they're warming up. So and then they beat OSGA. So it was kind of tough to read them. So I don't know. We took on BLM 2-0. I'll just say I was a little disappointed. I thought it might go 3 games before we played them. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is that indicative of the strength of Sector 2 right now that their second best team got 2-0'd by us, or
I mean,
is it kind of just like a fluke week maybe?
I don't know. It was one of our better showings, I'd say.
It was,
But
yeah.
was it one of their worst showings also, or is it just Sector 2 is just hanging around? Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
OTLO 2-0 RAR. I gave RAR 3 chances. They just keep letting me down, so I don't think I can rock with them anymore. Hopefully they figure it out, but OTLO,
Did you see that second game that they had?
I'm sure I did, but I slept since then and I'm old.
Uh, they went like 3-27 and 2 combined against
I
their
just see that.
opponent, which was
That's
kind
not
of
fair.
crazy.
OTLO over there playing for stats.
I mean, maybe. Either way, that's kind of a.
Yeah, that's
I
tough.
mean, there's losing and then there's losing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's like, can we FF? No, it's a competitive game. Damn.
Yeah.
But no, OTLO, another team to beat. Of course, undefeated. I assume they play PLW in this upcoming week. I guess we'll see that
Yeah, they
later.
do in
But
the Rivals Week. They play them twice actually throughout the season now,
hmm,
because their cross matchup was pre-scheduled to be that. So it's kind of interesting that they have to play each other
hmm,
twice. They don't do it back to back, but they'll have
yeah.
a rematch.
Okay. Okay. OSGS quick 2-0 versus CE White. Good job to them. And then Veracity. It's obviously a joke. I know they didn't play. Veracity 2-1 versus DPH, the controversial match. I was thinking it was going to be a 2-0. So, I don't know, maybe dropping points, figuring out a couple things. Not enough to pick up a win, but enough to pick up some games. So,
Yeah.
we'll see if that's what that means. We
It,
play Veracity tomorrow, so.
it definitely seems like dropping point does well when Rico can get going. I think that the games that have stood out to me, the games that they've won, have been Rico and MF doing really well. I don't know if that just means that dropping point should just pick him up every game, or if there's something about the way that they're approaching these MF drafts that put them in an advantage that otherwise doesn't happen. Um, but it's I don't know. It's interesting that dropping points picking up these games, but just can't seem to close it out. They're like consistently like on the cusp, but never enough, which
Yeah.
is kind of like a hard place to be because it's like I mean like you don't have to like overhaul what you're doing, but you got to change just enough to like make it make sense, you know?
Yeah. Uh, good news for them is all they have to do is be ahead of RAR come times for playoffs because they are 5th
Yeah.
and 6th, both 0 and 3. CE's, of course, out of the running, so one of them will play what do we call it, a play-in game, or
Yeah.
I don't know if they're calling it a gauntlet, so I assume just play-in game. So just got to keep that 5th seed. Okay. We will go to, so that's it for week 3. We'll go to week 4 predictions. Yeah.
Yep.
Hopefully it updated as I put it in there. I think so. Yes.
Rivals week, baby.
Rivals week, game of the week. I don't know. Is this the stream game? I would expect it to be.
I don't think it is.
It is. No, it is. It is.
Oh, it
At
is?
least per the
That's good.
sheet. So I assume that's right. Makes sense. Both undefeated teams against one another. PLW starting out blue side game 1, OTLO on red. It's gotta be a good game, right? I mean, if one team
I
just
hope
stomps
so.
the other one, then
I
it's
hope
just
it's a
like that's the
three.
scary
I hope
team.
it's a
But
3-game series, but you never know. I don't know.
never know, never know. I mean, I don't know if this is a Sector 1 bias or what, but I'm gonna rock with PLW. I'm gonna go 2-1. 2-1. I'm gonna say it goes 3 games, but Plasma Wolves,
Okay.
I think take it.
Just for the sake of being different, I'm gonna go OTLL 2-1.
With a decent amount of confidence. Or
Yeah. I mean, so the matchup that I'm most looking forward to is Star Burrito versus Latex Monkey Knights because it's two very different play styles with similar champ pools. So Latex is pretty aggressive, it seems like, on any champ he picks, regardless of if it's supposed to be aggressive or not. He keeps his farm up. It seems like he's invading a lot. He's trying to carve out like individual advantage. Whereas Burrito, on the other hand, when you watch their games, she's definitely playing towards her team, trying to set up for team success, which is fine. Like, there's no right or wrong play style, especially if both these teams are winning. It's just that this difference in the two, I don't know if it will favor one side or the other. It's that's up for debate, but it'll just be interesting to see how they both approach these games and see if, on the Plasma Wolf side, if they can keep Latex Monkey Nuts from doing what he's been doing to Sector 2 this whole season, or on, the OTLO side, can they continue to play around a strong top side, especially with Pylum now in the lineup, Pylum. Um, so I don't know. It's gonna be a fun one, regardless of the outcome, I think.
yeah, we all, especially being a stream game, we always hope for a game 3 either way. So it'll be interesting to see who is the official #1 team after tomorrow night. Moving along to game 2. We have Braum Lives Matter versus TD Blessed. Yes, perfect.
It's a tough one in terms of like who I think's gonna win it, because
they have the same record for what it matters, if that matters.
yeah, I mean they do. I think from what we put on tape against BLM, there's a pretty clear way that I think teams should be approaching Drakenrich and the rest of the squad there. Whether or not TD Blessed does that or not is up for them to decide. I think TD Blessed had their best game against OSG. But I think this is like two teams of similar skill. Of course, we've never played TD Blessed, so I can't judge based off of our experience with them. But I think it's also going to be a really close series.
TD Bless is a tough team because they've played 2 of the weaker teams and they lost to one of the best teams. So
yeah, I know.
I don't know.
I don't know what you're
how
supposed
to
to do
read
with that.
BLM, I thought was gonna be a pretty strong team. Didn't really feel like it against us, but also could have been an off week. Could have just been us playing out of our minds one week. Who knows?
I also think we're the only team to approach them the way that we did in draft.
That's fair, but also it wasn't rocket science to see.
No, I know.
So
I'm just saying, like, that's the first time that they've kind of dealt with that.
true.
I'm not going to kind of reveal strats because I don't want to scout for other teams, but it's the first time that that particular team had to deal with what we showed them, and they didn't respond very well, especially in game 2. So
Okay, I'm gonna go TDB 2-1, and I think it's just a complete toss up. I don't really know who to pick, so I'm gonna go Sector 1 team. So that's fine. 2-1
yeah,
TDB.
I'll go 2-0. I think if TDB puts Riven in a position for success, and kind of build off the momentum that they had last week, it'll be good. They don't, then it gets a little dicey. But I'll just for the sake of not going the 2-1 route, I'll go TDB 2-0.
Okay, fair. Moving on to game 3. Rivals week, rivals matchup versus no veracity. We don't touch really on this one. We ain't gonna give no predictions just because it's kind of, oh, you're saying that because bias, blah blah blah. We'll see. We scrimmed them long ago. I don't remember anything from that, so. But I
A
think
little
it'll
bit
be
of a grudge match now, though.
yeah, I guess adding hype, adding some hype to it. I think it's gonna be a good game.
Yeah.
I expect it to be one of, if not our most difficult matchups. But we shall
Um,
see.
I think the solo lanes from Veracity will be probably the toughest challenge that Death Knight and Salo have faced. Um, but it's gonna be a good one regardless. I think there's pretty clear ways of either us or Veracity can lose in drafts. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
We shall see. So apologies, no predictions there, but you
Rivals
can
too.
do your own.
We're just kidding. No, we're not gonna do it. But obviously, we're gonna root for ourselves to win 2-0.
We just hope for a banger. Oh, for the fans.
Yeah.
All right, TFF versus OSGS. Uh, OSGS has kind of been a team that's been looking solid. Obviously, they had a bye last week. Just feel like they've been sneakily pretty solid. But with that being said, I've been pretty high on TFF. I think they just kind of had an unlucky draw week 1. So I do think they're one of the best teams in the league. So I'm going to have to go 2-0 TFF.
Is OSGS the team that just got rid of their jungler, or their jungler left? Either way, the jungler's no longer there. No name, or is that the other OSG team?
I know OSGS does have 2 players that I don't really recognize at top and jungle. So I think so.
Okay.
Yes, so top and jungle are
Uh,
different than what they've been using.
it might be a little bit tougher then because there's not going to be a lot of scouting information to go on for TFF. On the same like side of that though, to introduce 1 or potentially 2 new members to the lineup for OSGS is also going to be difficult because you're not used to their play styles, and I doubt that they've been scrimming heavily every day for like the last week.
I'm sure they have.
Yeah, every day, 8 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'll go TFF 2-1. I think OSGS throws a curveball with their new lineup, but not enough to take them down.
Okay. Fair. Let me see. I think that's 2 teams. Yeah, okay. They're both 2-1 also.
Mm-hmm.
I guess by default, most of the games are just going to be 2-1s.
Yeah, a lot of them are.
All right, DPH versus NLE. DPH 0 wins as far as matches go, but they do have some game wins. NLE coming off a 0-2 loss. I don't know. It seems like both teams are trending towards each other. DPH trending up, NLE trending down. Obviously, everybody gets a bad week. Is this the match that DPH finally pulls one off? I don't know if I'm that confident in that.
No.
I think NLE still a solid team. It's tough to put any super strength into DPH until they actually get a match win. So I'd probably still rock with NLE 2-0. It feels like DPH goes 3-1. 3 games in at least 2 of their games, right? If not all of them. Maybe just 2 of them.
2 of them so far.
But yeah, I'm still rock with NLE 2-0. But it might be a close 2-0.
I think NLE comes out pretty motivated. I don't know if they're excited for the matchup or not. I think they were hoping to play one of the better Sector 2 teams. No flame intended or anything to DP. I just think last week's result was disappointing for NLE. So I think they come out with some fire. I think DP on the LXC podcast, whatever they call it, I said DP is probably like the dark horse of Sentinel. because they're picking up games. They're just not picking up matches, and they can sneak into playoffs because they are in Sector 2. So they have a long time to try to put put it together, but I don't think it happens against NLE. So I'm gonna go NLE 2-0.
Okay, okay. That might be one of the few ones that we've officially agreed on.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's just one more. Yeah. RAR versus Hydro Pump Black Tip. Uh, RAR's been letting me down. I've been giving them chances. I've been hoping, rooting for them. Keep letting me down. But also, Hydro Pump has been not doing the best recently. So if
Yeah.
RAR wanted a game to win, this feels like a potential one they could take. Um,
You're gonna go with Aurora again?
I don't know. 1-2 versus 0-3. No, I told RAR it's just last week was the last time I can rock with them, and maybe I'm just whatever I pick, they do the opposite. So maybe I will give them their first win if I don't pick them. That's what it is.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think it could be a toss up. I'm gonna go Hydro Pump 2-1, but it does feel like RAR. If Hydro Pump keeps playing how they've been playing, I think RAR can take it.
Yeah, Hydro Pump has lost 4 straight after picking up the game 1 win against us, and it's tough to be um, optimistic or like I don't know, keep a good headspace when you're on a losing streak, and just ask any solo queue player. But Roar has also been struggling, probably even more so than uh, DPH. DPH got hot in week 1, and I think they're trying to like reignite that, and I don't see Roar, dude, especially after that game 2 last week, really putting up much of a fight. So I'm actually gonna go.
Hydro
I'm
Pump.
gonna go the 2-0 victory for Hydro Pump.
Okay. You say that's more faith in Hydro Pump turning it around, or more faith in RAR not being able to turn it around yet?
Uh, More so the latter. I just when you're when you lose like you did in game 2 of their series last week, it's just kind of like a gut punch, takes the wind out of your sails, and so it's really hard to like look at your teammates around you and be like, yeah, guys, like, shake it off. We'll win next week. Like
Yeah.
I know that's what they're probably saying, and they're trying to keep the faith, and um, you know, it is Sector 2. They're still in the playoff contention, but um, I just think DPH is probably a little bit more put together because they have found some wins and some success. Um, so it's hard to go against that.
True. True. Okay. That's it for predictions. I mean, we got the time. We got the time to roll into top. Uh, so that's where we're gonna start. I think we hit the top, and then we could take a break if needed. Thoughts?
Yeah, we might have to take a break because I'm not done yet. But
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I was just gonna,
regardless, yeah, I'm hustling.
yeah. You
We'll
good?
get
You
the
good?
content out.
You're chilling. I'm just trying to, as long as we get less than last time, it was like 3.5 hours. Let's get into that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Dude, TB's old. He has to go to bed.
I
Yeah,
gotta get up in
let's do
like
top
seven hours.
and then go on a quick break so I can finish some stuff. Do you have the results or the not the results, the rankings from last week pulled up? I'm gonna read them off real quick.
I sure can do that. Maybe. Cool. All right. Last week, your rankings were number 1, Neptune Rises. 2, I'm saying Uba Awesome. I don't know. 3,
You be awesome.
I don't know about it. 2 is Awesome. 3, Diet Coke. 4 is Complex. 5 was Feathers. 6 was Prussian. Rest in peace. 7, RH Cheese. 8, Aspect of Noxus. 9, Death Knight. 10, Matrix. 11, Reverse. 12, Tiny Fist of Fury. 13, Islamic Samurai. And 14th, last but not least, XX Angry. So starting with 14 this week. Wait, why do we have 14? You're slacking, man.
No, you'll see.
I
It's
know.
in remembrance, dude. They started the season with us. They're gonna end it.
Okay. 14th is going to be CE.
Yeah.
May or may not be them on every roll. We'll see. If somebody just completely ends all their games, maybe they still get 14th.
Yeah, dude. Getting placed lower than the team that isn't here would be tough.
True. Then you could be upset about that, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
All
Then
right.
you have a right to be upset.
Yeah. 13th. I'll just unfortunately say no surprise. Went from 14th to 13th. Moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
But XX Angry gonna keep that bottom spot. They did pull off one game,
Dude,
but
Angry's he's such a mystery to me. Because he did so well on the Urgot, and then game 3, he's like, okay, you know what? We're gonna get our first series win. Lock me the Warwick.
that's
I just
macro.
don't understand. I don't understand some of his picks
Hey, did the most
sometimes.
damage on his team on the Warwick, so
Yeah.
that's team diff.
He also went like what, 1-7?
That's not important. We're not
Yeah.
supposed to look at
So
KDAs or something.
yeah. They came out with like the most interesting draft in game 3. Obviously, that's not Angry's fault. It
Maybe.
is his fault that he keeps picking these carries and not performing on them, though. And so, it's tough. Somebody's got to be last, and unfortunately, it's Angry.
Yeah. Maybe next week. I mean, he moved up one. Could potentially move up one more next week. Just go in the right direction.
Yep.
He could be hating on the Warwick, man.
Iron Man
Number
all over.
12, Islamic Samurai.
Had a good week last week, though.
Good week. Their team picked
Um,
up a win. Just did not do enough to move them up, other than the one by default. They played NLE.
you
Good.
moved a little bit up for the stats thing, but not by much. And so, looking at the rest of the top lane, people we got here, I mean, it's not gonna take a lot to move up, but a 1 week off, like a break from the norm for Islamic, isn't gonna be what catapults them, I guess.
True. I mean, yeah, 2-0, but only had 9,000 damage one of the games. It's kind of tough.
Yep.
Yeah, just not enough yet to move up spots. But I'd say they're on notice. A win matters. We'll go to number 11. Back in the mix, granted. So Feldroth 11th. I actually believe that is Matrix playing.
He didn't play last week.
Yeah, no. I think I do think this next week Matrix is supposed to be playing. So I don't know. They'll just ping pong back and forth their top laners, but
Yeah. I kind of want to expound upon that. It's interesting to see when I'm going through all the back end and looking at the stats and like seeing how they correlate to success and stuff like that. The teams that have the most consistent rosters week in and week out are also the teams that are winning the most, which makes sense, right? Like you're used to these players, you're going to play with them, know their tendencies, know how they like to draft and stuff. And so a lot of these teams in the bottom rungs of Sentinel, you're tempted to be like, dude, like so and so is just sneaking that up. We need to get a new guy in here. Let's mix and match some rosters, especially for like I'm assuming OSG. They have two teams. I'm sure they're run by, some guy, some Oregoner that wants to see results. But sometimes the best thing is just to let it ride out and kind of correct as you go. So I don't know. I'm not speaking for OSG. Like I don't know what's going on over there. Why they keep having new people each week. Maybe they're busy or whatever. But um, the best thing to do is to just find 5 people that can play every week and just rock it for a while and see what happens. In my opinion.
true. Don't disagree. It didn't have the worst showing. But yeah, ping ponging back and forth. We'll see who ends up playing the last couple of games. Right now they're sitting at 0-3, so they kind of have to make a playoff push now. They are in Sector 1, so it's kind of a steep climb. But 11th, Feljath. We will move on to number 10.
Who's it gonna be?
Reverse. Reverse.
Yeah. What was he last week? I don't think Reverse has moved
11.
much.
11. So 10th is technically, I guess you could say, the same spot.
I-
Those two kind of swapped.
Yeah, I think it's more of the result of Matrix not playing, in my opinion.
Probably.
That's
yeah.
why you see that. You see the reverse there. Reverse is also somebody who's been kind of interesting. They started off really hot when Hydro Pump just rolled week 1. Since then, has consistently slid down. He has a very unique champion pool. I don't know how much is being targeted in their games. It's just not a lot happening for Hydro Pump right now. But despite losing 4 games in a row, being in this middle third is pretty good.
Yeah, it's just tough. What looked like one of the best kind of top triangle-ish, I guess, all the way through their lineup. One of the better teams at the very beginning. Just rough 2 weeks, so we'll see if Reverse and their team can bounce back. Moving to number 9. Tiny Fists of Fury. So as of right now, everybody's shown kind of different order-ish for some of them, but these were the bottom 4 or 5, sorry, compared to last week. So Fists of Fury did move up a couple spots, was 12th, is now 9th. Played against us last week. I'm trying to remember. Had an Ornn and a Cho'Gath game.
Ornn was tough. I think what was interesting about when I was going through and updating the stats for BLM is the way that we made them play actually made Reverse get more involved in team fights.
Fist of Fury?
And sorry, Fist of Fury get more involved in team fights. And so some of his numbers actually went up despite the loss, which was interesting.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't just was forced to be more involved.
Yeah.
I would not necessarily got more attention, I guess, but
No.
Indirectly. So
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
It was kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, did a kind of double tank duty. Feels like we saw a bunch of Cho'Gath, right? But I don't know if we saw any too spicy builds yet.
No Halo Blade Shogath from anybody yet, I don't think. At least from what I could tell.
Yep, moving in the right direction. Number 8, we have OSG Cheese, who I believe is not playing this next week. Don't know why. Maybe somebody can tell us in the chat. They went from 7th last week to 8th. So dropped one or 2 spots depending on how you look at it.
Just kind of staying in the same general area vicinity. Yeah, Cheese with the name change and then getting potentially benched is kind of a feels bad. But
oh yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's just a player that has been playing consistently. Not on the greatest team right now in terms of results. So.
And they had a bye, right?
Yeah, and they had a bye, so kind of just staying in the same spot makes sense.
Yep, not too much to say since you didn't play. So we'll keep moving along to number 7. Starting to drop over the last couple weeks, slowly.
Yeah.
So still in the top 7. Went from 5th last week to now 7th for Feathers. I'd say a part of it is the fact that their team just hasn't won any games. So kind of naturally, you're probably most players that are on a winless team aren't going to be super high up. Feathers still having some decent showings, or I'd say this week was at least one good showing, right? Or
He had one good game and one bad game.
Yeah.
When he played against Aspect of Noxus, he actually I think did pretty well on lane from what I could tell, or got into Gwen. Didn't do enough to win that game obviously, but did decently. Wasn't like a like an all-star performance or anything, but it was pretty good. And then when Pilum, I'm gonna call him Pilum, and if somebody wants to correct me, that'd be awesome because I don't know. I think it's Latin. I don't speak dead languages.
Okay.
Pilum came in and kind of did really well against him, so kind of a tough week to judge performance with two different matchups.
Yeah, I will say, even on the second game, which of course different player, even second game he still got counterpick and dropped the what was it 050 or something like that.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. That's tough. Tough to see it. Didn't fall too far, just 2 spots. Still top 7, but 7th nonetheless. Moving on to number 6, the man himself, Death Knight, moving up
yeah.
from 9th place to 6th.
So Death Knight got the series MVP for me, and that little write-up I do. Not to say that. I mean, I think it was our best team showing overall so far this split,
Yeah.
top to bottom. Um, but he found a lot of success. The Alawi looked really good into the Ornn. Then he was active on the Shen, and in terms of the rest of the field, he's definitely moving on up, right there in the top of the middle third. So, good spot to be for, I think, the only bronze top laner. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely showing these gold and plat top laners how to do it. Yeah, I do think one of the lowest ranks. And I think should be his highest ranking of the season. So, yeah, some pop-off games on really putting on some champs that he ain't playing a ton. So he's always down to play whatever we need him to play.
yeah,
And it's working out. We'll see if we can run it back tomorrow.
we will see. No strats leaking.
5th, Diet Coke. He was number 3 last week. So, of course, they dropped to 0-2, lost to TFF. So that could play into it.
The Yorick showing was kind of
York was a tough one, and
I think the series actually cut his KDA in almost half, which just feels bad.
yeah.
Not saying KDA is everything for you KDA haters, but when you do go 1-9 on a split pusher and your presence is more detrimental than positive, you're gonna get hit. But still in the top 5, so really not too worried about Diet Coke. I think they'll be able to bounce back. I don't know if we'll see Yorick again, but we'll have to see.
Maybe. Yeah, only falling 2 spots, still in the top 5 after 1-9 game and losing 0-2. I say that's not bad.
Yeah.
Moving on to top 4, if you want to pronounce that one.
Pilum Realis. Pilum. Anyways, good showing from him. We were torn. We originally were gonna put Aspect of Noxus on here. I don't think he would have been as high. Pilum going deathless in his only series or only game so far last a pretty good impression. I mean, somebody's gonna have to pull up the preseason rankings, but I think we had him in the top 4 there as well. So, we're judging based off of projection. But depending on how this player does next week, can definitely move him around in either direction. Because he will be taking on Neptune Rises, who is not on this list, so has to be top 3. So yeah, it is kind of interesting. Wasn't really sure what to do there.
Yeah, it's tough only having one showing, so it could be like, did they just happen to pop off one game? That will definitely be shown tomorrow night. But that one game was enough to get the 4 spot, so good place to start.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 3, my lord. Complex of TD Blessed, who I believe has been in the top 3 every week.
Yeah.
Or I take that back. Actually, it was 4th last week.
I don't know about preseason.
It was 4th last week, so I just thought that
I don't know about
maybe they were.
preseason either, but
Let me see. I think 4th, 1st, 3rd or 4th. So ping ponging around top 4.
yeah.
Let's see.
Has been one of the more steady performers of TDB. Riven, like I said earlier, has kind of come alive a little bit. And one hand's been holding it down in bottom lane. So, Complex, steady presence on the side. It seems like, definitely helping his team win games.
Yeah, looks like yeah, good
Good
showing
stuff.
on the Urgot.
Hmm.
One of the few players I've seen play the Garen. The split, yeah, in competitive, still popped off on that as well. Um, they did play one of the weaker teams as far as I guess player rankings on this list and overall record. But a win's a win, and if you're gonna drop 8-1 back-to-back games, you can expect to be in the top three.
Yeah.
Number 2 is gonna be Neptune Rises, who's gonna take on number 4 Murialis tomorrow night. So Neptune Rises was number 1 last week. I think it's pretty close. I think between the top two, could have kind of went either way. I don't think you could say either one would have been wrong. But for this week, they dropped 1 spot to second place.
Yeah. Shout out to his Mordekaiser. He let me know that probably didn't get the recognition it needed to, so I'll do it here. Um, it's I think after 3 weeks, it's pretty clear who the top two are in terms of top laners. Um, After that, it gets kind of pretty close. With Complex and Pylum like right on their tails. So really, the top four, I
Yeah,
think, will be. The jury's still out for Murialis, but um, after those four, it gets there's a different tier for those players, I should say. Uh, so
yeah. I'd almost say top maybe has kind of 4 tiers, but most roles have 3. Neptune, I don't think it's really Neptune had a terrible week, so they drop 1. I'd probably say it's more on the first person who jumped from 2 to 1. I mean, Neptune Rises had 1 game that was kind of eh. They still won. Didn't really have to do anything that game. If your mid laner
yeah,
goes 11-1, so just kind of having a game where you didn't really have to do anything. 1-3 on the Cho'Gath, um, and the other top laner playing really well all 3 games is kind of why they dropped 1. But I still think it's kind of like you said, like a 1A 1B type situation.
yeah,
And who could be number 1?
there it is.
UB awesome? Uba
Yeah.
awesome? Who knows?
So I will address some things that were said. Uh, it's not so much. So when I was writing my initial reaction, it wasn't so much that I thought Veracity had a horrible game one. It's just that it was pretty clear that UB Awesome
Game
was
2.
no game one.
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
game one,
Oh, okay,
when I
okay. I see, I
was
see.
when I was reacting to it, it was pretty clear that UB Awesome had a heavy hand in them actually winning the game. I gotta spice it up and say DP almost beat them because that's more entertaining than saying, "Oh look, DP lost to a team that they were supposed to lose to." I just think when UB Awesome goes 12-1 on a carry top laner into an Ornn, um, he's either really winning on sides or he's carrying the heck out of fights. And I think he did a little bit of both. That's not to say anybody in Veracity didn't have a part in winning the game. It is a team game. It's just that he popped off, and so uh, definitely deserving of some recognition for that performance in game one.
Absolutely. I mean, cheerleaders are a part of the team, no matter what people say. Uh, he popped off. Even the game they lost, still did solid and dropped a ton of damage, and a ton of CS. So,
Yeah.
no surprise there. I'm hoping my coach will let me just play support top tomorrow night, and we'll see if we can spice things up and knock
What do you
them
mean by
down.
that?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
No league strats.
Yeah. Choo choo choo.
You me top? Me?
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
I've seen you play Yumi in my life, but we'll try it.
Okay, I will put it 100% on you on whether or not we're gonna go quick break or onto jungle.
If we have time to go to jungle, it should be there.
Okay, we do
So
have time, and if not, we will make time. So
okay.
we will rock through with jungle, and then we will send to a break. Let me see if I
Sounds
can do
good to me.
this without messing it up. Any guess to
You
who's gonna be
guys,
14th?
yeah, let us know in the comments who you think is gonna be 14th. If you see any typos, it says the wrong week. That's my bad. I'm doing them as we do this. Just been a tough week for me.
One more day to go. You can
Yeah.
take a break.
Uh, so I'm a little behind, but we're making it work.
Jungle. Some say the most important role. Some say it's just a second support. I don't know. People were murmuring.
People were murmuring.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, no
no
surprise.
surprise. No surprise. We got a CE quitters in 14th. That's okay. 13th. What we really care about. Odin Gaming. I guess I should pull up
Yeah,
last week's.
it's tough because I'm not envious of coming into a team that's already struggling.
Huh?
I'm especially not envious of coming into a team
Pause.
that is struggling and I have to play jungle for them. Um, I think there's a lot of issues on this roster. If you ever played jungle in solo queue, you know that sometimes a bulk of the blame can be placed on you. I don't think this is the case. I do think that coming in late, having bad stats, and not picking up any wins is definitely contributing to this though. So
Yeah.
somebody's got to be last, and it's Odin.
Yeah. Technically moved up one spot. But yeah, like you said, if you gotta perform to be able to move up, and somebody has to be last. So it is what it is for this week. Number 12. How dare you? Tyler
Oh, Tyler.
himself.
So before Tyler gets upset, I think Tyler performs the role that Veracity needs extremely well. That role is never going to garner much attention when it comes to stats and like these kinds of lists. Like, if you're thinking of Tyler as a player, I think of the TL roster that had Smithy, right? Smithy showed up and did his job and played what he was supposed to play to make the team go. And I think that's what Tyler's doing. Um, could there be room for improvement? I think there's room for improvement. Everybody on this list. But I just think that Tyler is happy contributing to wins. So despite being 12, I think he's bringing his teammates up. When you said jungle could be a second support, I think that's how Tyler approaches it, which is not a bad thing. It's just not going to make you go up the list.
Fair. I love Tyler and he's the best. Please don't gank bot tomorrow. No, it looks like it. Yeah, he's putting on some engaged tank duty. So
Yeah.
stat wise, always not gonna be anything too crazy. I do think he, like, if you swap different junglers onto Veracity that are above him on this list, Veracity gets worse. So
Yep.
it's just it's kind of backward as far as the actual rankings go. But that is a part of it. So I don't think Tyler will ever crack like top 5 or anything, but not to say Veracity, except for tomorrow. Oh, might win out. I don't know. We'll see. Number 11 is Infiltrate, which I feel like's kind of a similar conversation that we had earlier with
Yep.
Reverse as their team. Like, I think they started really high on the list, and they just have not been the team, or I guess that goes with players as well, haven't been playing the best the last couple weeks. Um, this could definitely be a bounce back week. Infiltrate was 9th on the list last week, so dropping 2 spots. But yeah, it's just last 2 weeks have been tough, so you're gonna move down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say there. I think I did watch. I'm not watching. So for the stream games, I'm not sitting down and watching it as an entirety. I'm skipping around, seeing like the major points of the game. I did see a pretty rough 2v2 in the mid with Infiltrate and Red Sharky taking on Burrito and Silent Assassin. Assassin with a ballsy play to get a kill there for first blood, but uh, there just seems to be a disconnect between Sharky and Infiltrate. I don't know if that's
I do think they swapped, right? They had a
hurting them.
sub 1 or 2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, so they had Bixis when they played us. They've had Red Sharky, I think, every game since then.
Mm.
I think Hydro Pump, when you watch them play, it's clear that they lack an identity of how the game should be approached. I think their comps could make sense on paper, but then the way they play them out doesn't match with what was drafted. And it's tough to win, obviously, when that's going on. So, if you're losing and you're not performing well, of course, you got to move down the list. But that's not to say that they can't figure out and move it back up. We've seen them do well before. We saw them do well in week 1, but since then, it's been kind of a struggle bus.
Yeah, that's fair. Or maybe it's just that they played us and then PLW, so maybe it's just their toughest
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Number 10 is going to be Coach Silent K. Was 10th last week, so just a chill guy chilling at 10th. I don't know.
I think Silent K also performs the we'll call it the Tyler role, that kind of glue piece. I will say that the top side looked a lot better, especially when they had like the Renekton and Sejuani, kind of a classic pairing that you'll see. Not putting up crazy stats, is on a winning team though, and is performing a little bit better than some of the other players here.
Yeah, I mean, both of the more carry positions on their team seem to be popping off, so it's working for them the last 2 weeks. We'll see if that goes into next week. But kind of makes sense. They're going to stay around the same spot they won, but the stats aren't anything crazy, so it's kind of just a mix of everything. Chilling at 10th.
Only 10th.
Number 9 is going to be DP Fifi. I don't know if that's the starter moving forward. Let me see if they're playing.
I think it should be. If it's not, no offense to. Now I'm blanking on their name.
Is it useful or no?
Useful Int, yeah. No offense to Useful Int. I just think DP Fifi had a really good game on the Lilia against Veracity. And I think it gives them another win con that they wouldn't have with Useful Int. Just like a different look, right? Like,
Yeah.
And I don't know if they'll be sticking around. You'll have to confirm.
Yeah, I don't know
who's
yet.
Playing.
They don't. I don't
Okay.
think they know
They
yet. I
haven't
will say
posted?
useful. It looked like was supposed to play last week, so I don't know when that actually happened. If it was like a last second emergency type situation, or if they decided they want to maximize their possibilities. As of right now, useful and still the starter on the roster, so we'll see who actually plays. But yeah, I'd agree. Fifi had a solid showing. They lost, but took it to 3 games, so kind of one of those like we talked about earlier. It's kind of easier if you have like 1, 2, 3 games, like a lot less games than other people.
Yeah.
If you do well those games, then you're kind of gonna be inflated stats as far as the rankings go. So.
Yeah, the stats are really high on Fifi, but the result wasn't there, and it's a limited sample size, so it makes sense that they're at 9.
Yep. And number 8, we have the Moisting from RAR.
So the moisting caught a little bit of my wrath in Righteous Reacts. I just like to see him play a little bit more standard to help his team win games. Played the Nefiri, did not look good. Played the Rek'Sai. Was the best performer in that horrible game too. So it's tough. Stats still like the moisting, not as much as they used to. Um, I would just, I think that their comps could use some work, and a big part of that is just these random junglers that they're picking. So
You like to see a Rek'Sai and a Nefiri in comp games?
no, not a huge fan.
I think if like the other team is really weak, or if
I
you're
think
like a
if they're
hardcore carry or something.
oh, and if they're strong in meta, then it's a different story, right?
True.
But if you're picking these champs that aren't good in meta, I'm assuming they're pocket picks, and I expect performance from pocket picks, and it's just not hitting right now.
Maybe next week. They're saving it for this week.
Yeah, maybe,
Against
maybe.
HP, I think. So yeah, just some unique gameplay expected from RAR usually. No name who is no longer playing? Question mark.
Yeah, '07 in the chat. I don't know if he left or got kicked or what, but no name, no longer with us.
So potentially last time they are on the list, but cracked top 7 nonetheless. Was
Yeah,
this the team that had a
I
bye,
was
right?
surprised when I saw that no name was getting the axe, to say the least.
Yeah, so they are not on the roster anymore. Assuming it wasn't just a name change.
Yeah, no, gone.
Okay,
Yep.
gone. Okay, top 7, but not much to say. They won't be around anymore, and they didn't play this week. They had a bye, so we'll move it right along to 6.
Also, I've screwed up on the mid rankings 3 times, so it'll be nice to get a break here in a second.
Okay.
Kama coming in at 6 had a tough week against us. Some questionable pathing. Stats are still high on Kama. I think they have all the tools to have a really good mid jungle duo with Drac and Rich. Um, Picked the Kindred and then wasn't nearly as aggressive as I thought it should have been. And yeah, just kind of interesting. I'm excited to see how BLM does in the Rivals week. Maybe Kama moves back up, but I think 6 is a pretty good spot for the BLM jungler right now.
Yeah, I will admit I expected a little bit more. We kind of thought they might take the J4 game 1. Didn't do anything too crazy with it. We took it obviously game 2 from them. I mean, I don't see a lot of Kindreds. Luckily, it allowed me to play my Tarek kind of subpar and still work out. So, no, interesting. I'd say interesting pick. Still a solid player. I think we played really well. That's why, despite the O2 loss, they're still top 6. But yeah, I expect them to bounce back. I already forgot who they're playing, but
TDB.
okay, yeah, I think that'll be good. I think that'll be a good showing, and the mid jungle I think plays a big part in BLM success. Who's it gonna be? Big Rev
Yeah.
cracks the top 5.
Rev has been doing really well for us. I think had some. I would even call them growing pains, but just trying to figure out the fit within the team. Took a little bit, but I think we're getting there. I know there's a lot more stuff we can do in terms of like potential and like champion picks and play styles and stuff. It might take some time to really nail it down, but being top 5 on a new squad is pretty good.
Yeah, I
Pretty
mean,
good.
3 people on different roles than last split, and then adding Rev into all of that change around. I think we like added him 1 week before the season started, so kind of the excuse the team in general is we're the first few weeks are still learning. So, but no, big Rev's a trooper playing what the team needs him to play. Have to talk him off the very
Miles
spicy jungle picks that he wants to play. So we'll see. Rev, maybe if you crack number 1 spot, we'll see something super spicy. Um, we'll have to see.
We'll have to see.
Number 4 is going to be Star Burrito.
So this one might raise some eyebrows. I think Burrito is 3. Got a win
Yes.
against NLE and then drops him. I don't think it's because of Burrito's performance. I think Reddick, well, I don't want to name names. One player that moved up and flip-flopped with Burrito did really, really well last week. And so when we're talking about like the glue roll, Star Burrito is definitely the glue roll for PLW. Plays what the team needs. So I don't know if stats will ever be high on this particular player. Um, but the performance is there. They're performing. They're playing their role as best as they can and getting wins while doing so. And so I would say 3 and 4 is where Burrito would have stayed had this other player that is going to come up not leapfrogged.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean, people get
yeah.
mad, and like I think it's justifiable to get mad. It's just
Motivated, not mad.
motivated, frustrated. We'll say. I mean, I don't think. I mean, it's tough, right? Because you're winning. But the way that we do these things, so I mean, should we just be full transparent for the?
I mean, I don't. For all I know, you don't even take what I put into consideration, so you can tell.
I do. So I think you had Burrito at 2, right?
I had Burrito at 3.
Burrito 3. Okay. So this is all done by computer. Everybody gets graded by the same paper, or by the same criteria. The stats have Burrito at 10th, which is very surprising. And I think it's because of the role that she plays. And so, when you take the averages, it's gonna ding. But
Okay, that's fair.
despite that, being number 4 is really, really good. So it's tough, because like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
If we were if we were like, say we were doing it like the AP poll for like college football or whatever, and I just look at the players that are performing on the best teams, then Burrito would be probably like 1 through 3, right?
Yeah.
Because we're adding that stats thing in there. Some people that are playing a role that isn't going to put up spicy stats are going to get dinged, and Burrito just happens to be one of them.
Yeah, which I still like. That's how we do it, right? There's no like one specific criteria that we're using. Obviously, you can look at stats. There's 78 different stats you can look at on the official LXC page. So shout out to them. So you can look through all that all day. This is just a mix of a bunch of different stuff. And yes, everybody is graded the same way. So yeah, I think 4 is a good spot to be. I'll take it. I'm like 12th. All right, let's top 3 on our last 4 minutes.
Rapid fire.
Red XC, almost alluded to earlier.
Yeah.
So it's 4th last week. So these 2 just swapped.
Yeah. And it was the coming out party that Riven was waiting for, beating up on Brissinger, and I think the jungle had a little bit to do with that as well. And so getting involved in the action, putting up a little bit better stats in terms of like individual performance, definitely put them there. I don't want to get spicy, but I'm pretty sure that you had Red XC higher than Star Burrito.
I
So if
did.
you
I
want to
did.
talk about
I had
it,
Red XC at 2. I
if
think
you want to
Red
talk
XC's
about
been at the
it,
top. Let me see what I had Red XC. I had Red XC 3 last week and 2 this week. I think they climbed a spot.
yep,
Um, had 2 good games. Obviously, they played one of the bottom teams, um, but still, I think popped off. But I had Red XC above Star Burrito 1 spot already last week, so it's
yeah,
not like I had them jump each other. I just had them both move up a spot.
yep.
So it's on a lot of the roles, it's tough. Like the top 4 or 5 on a lot of the roles, it's not really. Wait, I played well. Why did I go down 1 spot? It's like, well, you played well, but the other people right next to you played really well, um,
Yep.
and or it's a mix of the stats and stuff like that. So,
I'm just trying to
um,
throw you over the bus, dude. You don't have to get
yeah,
too
yeah, yeah,
defensive.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're off the team. You defend this one. I don't even know who it is.
I'm pretty sure it's defendable.
It's Koi. It's Koi. Yeah, I'm a Koi fan, but I did have Koi dropping, one or two spots on my list.
Yeah, Koi Koi lost to Star Burrito, obviously. Um, Stats still like Koi. They don't like Koi as much as they used to. Um, Dropping fourth in stats.
Hmm.
So did take a hit. But it averaged out to Koi staying the same.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, solid player. I mean, it's definitely good. I mean, you could say, well, I want to be number 1, or you could say, we lost and I didn't really drop. I assume there were 2 last week, right? Um, Probably, yeah. So second last week, so didn't drop at all despite an 0-2 loss. So that's always good to see. That
If the
means
trend
that.
keeps going though, if you keep losing that too,
Okay,
then
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm sure that it's it's gonna be a little bit different come week 4.
yeah. True, true. But still a very solid player on a very good team, uh, despite the loss.
Yep.
Who could it be?
Who could it be?
The undefeated team. Been number 1, I think, every week so far for us.
Yeah.
Latex Monkey Nuts.
Uh, I'm glad that we got this right heading into the preseason because it's held pretty firm. Um, just like nuts and latex.
True,
I mean,
allegedly.
yeah, latex monkey nuts has been playing really well. I think one of the KDA leaders across all roles, playing champs like Jarvan and some of these things that go in, means that they just have a solid grasp of what their team needs, and they're performing really well while doing it.
Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it keeps on working. Of course, we'll see the number 1 jungler and number 4 jungler go head to head tomorrow night. And we'll see if that shakes anything up.
Yeah, two different play styles, but it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, yeah. So we are going to go to a quick break. And when we come back, I assume we will go to mid lane.
Yeah. welcome back everybody to our week 3 power rankings for Sentinel. As always, my name is Righteous. That is CB, and we are going over the mid-lane rankings. Starting with number 14, obviously CEW. Gonna be kind
Probably.
of the running joke, I think, moving forward, just because I don't want to make new graphics. Um, yeah, I think mid lane. There's a lot of fluctuation, more so than I think some of these other positions. So it'll be interesting to see what we see as this goes on.
Okay, some hurt feelings maybe?
No, 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 no.
Ah,
Nobody gets hurt feelings.
no, they wouldn't do that.
Uh,
Bringing up 13th. Uh,
oh, do you want to go over the what the
uh,
rankings were last week?
I
Are you in a position to?
can, or I could just say what they were as we go through it.
Okay, that works.
Just because people, I'll read the whole list and then people forget.
And then people forget, so it's like, what's the point? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
I feel you. I feel
Brissinger was 14th last week.
you.
Not
Moving on
14th this
up.
week, moving up to 13th. I think it's just in a tough spot. These kind of bottom 2, 3, or
I
4.
will say, despite Riven kind of popping off,
Mhm.
that was probably Brissinger's best week. I did not, I wouldn't say flame. I did call out some questionable draft choices. I don't think giving Brissinger Zoe is the key to getting some wins. Uh, so
Okay, it's
I don't know.
always felt like you're either popping everybody and you're really good on the champion, or maybe not the most best for comp, but yeah. So Zoe and what was that, Lissandra game? So
Yeah,
not
the
not the
Lysandra game was probably his best game he's had so far.
yeah. Played against a good team. Kind of tough. Some decent showings, just not really enough to bump yourself up a spot. Oh, 2 spots. Got the homie right next to you though. At number 12, we have Mundo Man, who did not play. They had a bye. And let me check. For some reason, I thought maybe one of them was not gonna play. I don't know. Nope. They're both playing. Just kidding. I lied. So, Brissinger stayed the same spot. Mundo Man moved down. Probably more so just because they didn't play.
Yeah,
So it's chilling at 12th.
yeah. I mean, what was he before? Like 10th or something?
11th.
11th. So I just think, I don't know. I mean, to be 100% clear, like this bottom third, uh, could be interchangeable, except for maybe one or two people. But I think Munaman just got dinged for not playing, and the person that was below him playing pretty well. So
Yeah. Speaking of, check your mini map's going to come in at number 11. Was 13th last week. So kind of a trend for some of the DP players that they had a decent showing this last week despite losing. Going to climb up just a couple spots.
yeah,
I know I was trying to.
see what they played. So stats have him at 10. The stats are cumulative too, so I think check your minimap has been one of the more consistent performers for DP. You know, everybody in DP looked good in their win.
Yeah, pulled out the
So yeah.
Ari had the brand on the game win.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting choice. Don't see that mid lane a lot. And then I guess same with the Echo. Despite the game 3 loss, played pretty well on Echo as well. So enough to move up a couple spots. Number 10, Stink Pickle. Gonna move
Yeah,
down 1 spot from 9th last week.
it's just Roar's not winning.
Veracity.
What? Do I have it as
Oh, you do
Veracity?
have it as Veracity.
It's
They
Roar.
do look similar. That's strike 1.
Strike one. I knew it was gonna happen eventually. Uh, so there might be 2 live. Anyways, Stink Pickle's in the right spot. Gave him the wrong logo. Like I said, I'm trying to do it on the fly. My bad. But Yeah, for Roar, they haven't been winning, and so moved down.
Yeah, moved down one spot. They, yeah, I don't know. Oh, 03. They just been letting me down. They've been letting me down. Let me see. I want to see what he played because I don't remember offhand. Uh, yeah, 03 stat line is tough on a Talia. Did pull out the spicy Kled. We have a couple people playing Kled mid, uh, but 2-7 ain't quite gonna cut it. Did play against a good team in OTLO, but just gonna move down one spot. Number 11 is gonna be Red Sharky back in the lineup for HP.
Has the right logo. That's good.
Has
I'm
the
pretty
correct
sure.
logo.
I don't know how it happened, but it is what it is. Red Sharky, um, not the greatest showing in their loss, but most people don't have the greatest showing against Plasma Wolves. Um, did some pretty good things on the Vex though. I thought had a pretty favorable Vex game. It was kind of a nice pick into what Plasma Wolves did. Um, but then game two, the Nico didn't really get going. So, I don't know, kind of right in the middle. It's, if Hydro Pump starts to put things together and start winning, you could definitely see. There you go. You could definitely see Red Sharky moving up, but at the same time, like, I don't know, it's gonna be hard to move down. So this could be where you see Red Sharky for the foreseeable future, unless Hydro Pump starts winning.
Yeah, I mean a good opportunity this week. Cause they play RAR, right? I'm not tripping. I think they play RAR.
Yep.
So the battle for ninth, no, the battle to move up to the top 7. Okay. Number 8 is going to be Soul Ram of NLE. Soul Ram was 4th last week. So
Yeah.
potential mix of just kind of back to back, not the best showings. Am I tripping?
Um,
Maybe I have that backwards. I don't know. Nonetheless, enough to move down 4 spots.
Ram had a pretty tough week, and I think it hit her in the stats pretty hard. So she dropped 7 in stats. I don't know what you had her on your list.
8, which is the lowest that I've had her. So, yeah, a mix of the O2 loss. And really also, like we said in other streams, is mid lane is pretty stacked. So
Yeah,
it's also a mix of just other
and
players playing really well.
it's tough because like yeah, I think TFF communicated that the swap was gonna happen. But it's always hard to prep for somebody who hasn't been playing that role. Um, so it was just a variety of factors that could have contributed to Sorrel not doing too well. But at the end of the day, she did get dinged quite a bit.
Number 7 is going to be Riven climbing up the ranks.
Yeah,
So was 10th last week.
yeah. Riven put on their best performance of the split. Did come against the not so good team. But stats liked it, and Riven's been having like decent stats this whole season. I think what was dinging them is they were getting either caught or dying in team fights a lot, and I don't know if they were putting at the most pressure in lane. So some things shifted after their performance against Brissinger and OSG. So Riven, you know, not as high as I'm sure that they want to be, but is moving in the right direction.
Yeah, good showing. Looks like most damage on their team both games. Yeah, like you said,
Hmm.
against a weaker opponent. But good showing nonetheless, and enough to crack the top 7. Number 6 is going to be Efron, who I believe will be mid for probably the remainder of the split. LXC split. I know they were 80 carry for 1 week, maybe. But back in the mid lane, it looks like they're going to play mid
They
lane
were for
next week.
2.
Okay.
Um, so this was a recent swap, which it's interesting. They're running what they originally were thinking about doing. Um, it was enough to I don't know if you can call it an upset, but get the win over NLE. And looked pretty good in their series. So it's tough because like a lot of what we're judging, Chrome Malone and Efron are stats from a different role, but it's pretty similar. The mid ADC swap, I don't think changes too
Yeah,
much. So
yeah, and of course, some good showings against a good team. Win against NLE and Soul Ram in the mid lane. So pulling out the Vigar, haven't seen that in a little bit. And then the Oriana. So good showings, TFF. I think the team is going to keep climbing the ranks, and no surprise that Efron is in the top half.
hmm
Now for the lucky number 5, it's going to be VCY Limestone for no veracity with the correct logo.
yeah. Where was I think Limestone
It was
moved
5.
up,
It was
down?
5.
Oh, so it just hasn't moved. There you
So
go.
people moved around them. So
Mhm.
that's just what it was.
Yeah, I had the Kog'Maw mid, which is interesting to see. You don't see that very often. Um, Looked decent at it. Didn't really pop off, but didn't do horrible. The game two was a little bit rough against DP. Turned around in game three, so uh, consistent is good. Um,
True.
Obviously you want to move up, but the staying the same is never a bad thing when you're at number 5 or higher.
Yeah, especially in a 2-1 win against what seems to be one of the weaker teams. Granted, they're trending in the right direction, but um, didn't move. It's really a mix of just because other people around them moved, and some spicy champs. Kog'Maw, didn't they play? Yeah, the Kin, spicy Kin in the mid lane. So
hmm
um, top 5, nothing to be crazy about. Go to number 4. Draken Rich. So fallen from
Good
number
hit.
1.
hmm
So not too big of a hit. Just down 3 spots. I will admit I thought it was gonna be a little more, but that's okay. I mean, it was number 1
Stats are
for a
still
reason.
high.
Yeah.
Um, I think the biggest issue I saw from watching the games was he farmed really well. He actually still did a lot of damage in our series. He just didn't impact the map as much as I think he could have or should have. Um, and there seemed to be a disconnect between. I mean, if you're looking at Drakenrich as your best player, the best player and the rest of the team was trying to do one thing. I don't know if they're not listening to Drakenrich. I don't know if Drakenrich isn't communicating. Something happened to where they were taking fights and skirmishes with him not being there or not having ultimate up or like a variety of different things where when you're on the outside watching it, it's like this is never gonna work, and then it didn't work, and you're like, why would they do that? So uh, you can. He did get solo killed quite a bit too by Salo, which is never good to see when you're getting solo bullet in the mid lane. But at the end of the day, like the stats are there. It's just making use of those stats in a more positive direction. Um, it definitely didn't connect in our series.
Yeah. Can definitely see them bouncing back. Obviously, don't want to leak any crazy strats or nothing like that. Crazy CS at least one of the games, maybe both of the games.
Yeah.
But yeah, crazy CS both of the games. So yeah, just didn't really seem like they had a chance to um, do anything with the gold they were getting for one reason or another. But still top 4, so not bad. Number 3, Corrupt, who is going to jump up from 7th to top 3. They'll have to let us know if that is good enough or they're still
I'm
going to
sure
yell at
he'll want to
us.
be number one, but uh, I think it's right on par. I think honestly, I do think he fixed a lot of what was concerning to me. I mean, the stats were high on him last week as well, but it seemed like he got more involved in their games, in terms of like a kill participation and being a positive influence. Um, and so I don't know what he had. Well, you had him on yours, probably 3 or 4.
Yeah,
Um,
3
so
makes sense. Did play pretty different champs. Had an Aurelia pop off and a Vigar pop off. So 2 good showings. Of course, against kind of a lower team, but uh, stats do matter to an extent, and your team also being undefeated matters as well. So that's number 3. Number 2. Now I see some rig stuff, man. Number 2 is going to be Silent Assassin of Plasma Wolves. Um, Jumping up 1 from number 3. So I believe Silent Assassin's been top 3 every week.
I believe so.
So no surprise here. Very good player on one of, if not the best teams right now.
Yep.
Undefeated, and then they play this week. Hydro Pump. So yeah, I mean, look, seemingly did a good amount of carrying one of the games. Not to discredit Nike Dragon, he popped off also. But a nice LeBlanc game, and another Echo. We don't see a ton, but we saw at least 2 this week.
Yeah, and I think for Silent Assassin, I mean, he's been performing really well. When I was watching the games, I was impressed with him specifically. He did a lot for his team on sides, playing those, assassins. Had a strong grasp of how to make those champions work. Because I don't believe, Echo or LeBlanc. It was LeBlanc, right? I'm not
Yeah,
tripping.
yeah.
Are the easiest to pilot by any means, and just I mean has been performing really well and got the series MVP for me for what he was doing. So yeah, really good player. Plasma
Yeah.
Wolves has a lot of really good players.
Yeah, I don't see Silent Assassin dropping out of the top 3 anytime soon. Of course, Silent Assassin and Corrupt go head to head tomorrow night on stream.
Yep.
And we should go to 80 carry next. Oh wait.
Mm-hmm.
Last but not least, the man himself, Salosin, finally
Yep.
getting the number 1 spot.
He had it in the preseason
Yeah, that didn't matter.
and
He
lost
paid me
it.
that week.
Yeah. That's what happened. I think somebody can fact check me. I do spend a lot of time looking at them. I think Salo is the solo kills leader of the league right now. Very aggressive player. I think he's doing like 31% of our damage, which is a pretty high number. So is a whatchamacallit, solo queue warrior.
True.
So if he wasn't performing well, we would have some issues. But I mean, I think it's deserved. I think when you're looking at these rankings, the top 5 are all pretty close. Maybe 6, depending on how Efron does going forward in the role.
Yeah.
But the mid lane, I think you'll see a lot of variability in like the top 5, the middle 5, and then the bottom. But I think when what you see is kind of what you get. They're always going to be around where they're placed right now. Sting Pickle next week will get the right logo, obviously. Quick fix from CB was good, but
yeah,
yeah.
I don't see Salo dropping out of the top 3. I expect him to stay number 1, but we'll see. No pressure. But of course, a massive pop-off game 2. Played well both games, of course. But I think, half the solo kills on the stats list probably came from game 2. So
It was kind of crazy.
yeah, so nice showing from him, and much deserved. And now the question is,
Molly's up there,
oh, okay.
so we can do
We
that.
can do it. I'll snooze. So we'll go through go through AD carry or bot lane. Then we'll take a break, do support in teams, and wrap it up. So let's see if I can do this without messing it up.
It's up to CB now. Power's in his hands. I don't think there's any typos, but
Yeah.
if there is one, I wouldn't be surprised.
Let's see. Bot lane rankings at 14th. No question. CE. Gonna hold that spot. But we'll go to 13th. If we have any change or not, I don't think that's a change. I'm pulling it up. We do have Xerxes of OSGA.
Mm-hmm. Well, I say that. Yes, OSGA.
Yep. Was bottom of the list last week. An unfortunate trend. Their team overall just hasn't really been able to get anything going. So I would unfortunately say I'm not surprised. They're going to hold this spot probably until they pick up a win or until one of the two people right above them have terrible games. So not too much to say, unfortunately. I was trying to find it real quick. Pulled out a Senna 80 carry. I don't love to see that one.
They're cooking.
Pulled out the Calista. The Calista was cooking.
You gotta give them credit. Like, they're trying different things to pick up wins. So credit where credit's due. It just didn't hit.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Farming Senna. Maybe.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Take that back.
Yeah, it was Farming Senna. So it was Senna Tom. So that's half the battle.
Yeah, but usually the Toms get away farming. So
they were trying to get real spicy with it.
They almost
too spicy. DP Rico. I still think Rico has it in them to climb. I think is a solid player. Team hasn't been picking up wins. Rico was 12th last week. He's gonna stay 12th this week. I think they had a solid game right there. Misfortune. Yeah. So
Misfortune.
Solid Misfortune game. Just need to pick it every game.
I think you just pick it every game. Yeah. I mean, Rico, unfortunately, not picking up wins. I will say, not number 13 in the stats. So I'm not gonna say.
Whoa.
I'm not gonna say, or not number 12. Either. So.
Okay, maybe 13th.
No, not 13th.
I don't know.
Not bottom 2. So.
Okay. I don't know. You're pointing fingers.
We'll talk a little bit about it as we go on, but I will say it's not bottom 2.
I did not rank Rico at 12th or 13th, so get off of me.
That's a lie.
That's not a lie. Put him at 11th. Okay, number 11. Number 11 is Stoic.
Yeah. I mean, you could talk about
10th.
You should tell me what you thought of Stoic when it came to laning, because on the outside looking in, doesn't seem like the bottom lane duo of BLM puts out a lot of pressure, and then doesn't seem like Stoic uses that scaling opportunity, we'll call it, to really do much in team fights. Didn't agree with the MF build that he hit us with game 1, but it just didn't seem. It just seemed like Stoic was just kind of there, which, I mean, isn't horrible, but it's not like he was actively losing his team the game, but it didn't seem like he was contributing positively either. It was kind of like a net neutral sort of thing.
Part of it for me is comparison of other people that we've played. So I just think we've played some stronger bot lanes / AD carries. Don't think Stoic's bad by any means. The Misfortune's fine, and of course Misfortune Leona's a decent pairing. I personally don't think it's a great pairing when you give the other support Braum.
Yeah, that's tough.
So Braum was good into Misfortune and into Leona, and I'm pretty sure I picked Braum and then they picked Leona. I don't know.
Yep.
So I didn't really agree with that pairing, and then also they took the Braum but paired it with Ezreal, which I also don't love. So I didn't really like either of the pairings necessarily. Um, so I don't know. 11th seems fine. I wouldn't say bad by any means. It's just people above them are in the same tier, just a little bit better showings. And then 80 carry, kind of similar to mid, does have a very strong top half.
Yeah,
So
I would agree.
number 10, Macho Man Randy Savage with the correct logo. Coming in at number 10th was 9th last week. So perhaps just because they are on a losing streak, another loss is going to correlate to one more notch down on the rankings.
Yeah.
Let's see what they
10 in stats. I think you dinged them quite a bit, just because I think you're over roar.
because they let
Uh,
me down. Out of my 10, so 10's right where they landed. It
yeah.
is kind of similar to mid, to where, I mean, once you hit 9, I feel like is almost a different kind of tier.
Uh,
But
we'll say 8.
okay, sure. Well, I don't know who's officially. I haven't seen the actual list yet, but on my list. So, pulled out the Kaisa, had the Kalen, the 050. I just hate to see any player with 2 donuts. But yeah, this is just where they fell for me. Need more. More. Number 9 is going to be Pradles.
Where do you rank last week?
I'll let you take this one.
Where do you rank last week? Before?
Ranked 11th last week, moving up 2 spots.
So, let it be clear. He did move up, and he did win. Stats are not very high on Pradles. Has him at 12, which is second to last. I think Veracity is winning games despite Pradles not showing up. And I think if he keeps not showing up, it's going to be a lot of week 1 performances for that team. And this is just me being honest. He could be as mad as he wants to be, but compared to the rest of the field, he is not playing well. And so he did get boosted because they did win. And I want him to know that we do take performance into consideration. But I also want him to know that he is not playing well. And I will stand by that.
True. I don't think a 2-1 win over the second to last ranked team is anything to get too crazy about. Did have a solid showing on the Zeri. I guess we're attempting to ignore a 1-5 on an Ash, but that's okay.
He carried, dude.
I don't know. I'll leave it at what you said, as we do play them tomorrow. So we shall see. Moved up 2 spots still, and there it is.
Recognition is due. They are winning.
A win's a win. A win is a win.
win's a win.
I assume for most people, your team winning is the most important, regardless of who helps you win. Anyway, Ferdy at number 8.
Ferdy didn't move.
Ferdy
Despite
didn't
losing.
move despite losing. We've had 3 games. I think Ferdy's the best AD carry we've played against as our team. Still only coming in at 8th, so I guess maybe that's not good. Looking at it from that standpoint, that means I have a bunch more AD carries to play against that are going to be good, or maybe this rankings are just a little off. Who knows? I don't know where he is at stats wise.
Ferdy's at 8 in stats.
Oh,
He's just solidly 8th.
okay. I coincidentally also had him at 8th, so just the nature of the loss and kind of the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously we don't have the VODs to look at. I don't know what happened in the TFF series. I do think that at some point, Ferdy needs to be given a little bit more resources, because I think he's too good of a player to play this. I'll just scale. Oh. Yeah, I'll just scale and then show up at team fights and do my thing. I don't know if TFF keyed into that Triumphant likes to make his presence felt on the map, almost like a second jungler. I don't know. I can only just guess. But I do think that Ferdy has been playing a very team centric role, and I think he needs to be a little bit more greedy, and get unlocked and kind of run the map. Because I mean, we've seen what Freddy can do when he has a gold lead, and um, it's just the formula that has been working didn't work last week. So I wonder if Triumphant's gonna kind of hone in on sticking with his lane partner a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just a
We'll,
thought.
we'll see. I would argue that Purdy potentially has the highest ceiling of all their players, as far as carry roles, I guess. Um, but yeah, they're not really playing towards that. Granted, they've been playing well still, just around. They're spreading the wealth, maybe a little too much. Uh, who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
The top half of the list, number 7th, who had a bye last week, is going to be, I still think it's Entropy with a V on each side, but who knows? Ventropy, V.
Bench BV, bench B5. I don't know.
Was 6th last week, so only dropping one spot despite having a bye. So,
Yeah, it's just weird. Stats are really high in Entropy, um, even though that they're losing. I don't know if like they're trying to boost him up and it's just not working. I don't know if he's doing well despite the team performance. But it seems as like an individual player, he's doing pretty good. I think you had him in the middle of the pack. That's kind of where the stats had him land. So
yeah,
it's just kind of interesting.
yeah. But nothing to scoff at. Only dropping one spot, still being top 7, and you got your bye out of the way. So I think a solid player, one of the ones that's kind of going under the radar compared to the rest of these 6 players. At number 6 is going to be Key, who at one point was number 1, was number 5 last week, so only dropping one spot despite another loss.
Yep.
Was against a good team, but a loss is a loss either way.
It's interesting because when we watched him play in our series, and then I was watching the VOD from LXC, Key has this tendency to get caught out on really bad moments. Think like Sven for TSM when they were in the NA finals. Like, I think one of the catches ended up netting PLW Baron into an end. It's just like he puts up really good stats. It's just like one or two mistakes, and it's just costing his team so much because when he's off the map, they do lack damage. Like they do lack that carry potential, and so gotta keep getting hit when that happens. So hopefully they can clean it up. I think he's a good player. I think it's just been a rough couple weeks, but it has been 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks you can get worried. I think 3 weeks means it's gonna be a trend. So hopefully they can right the ship and make it not a trend.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much covered right there. I think I also noticed that at least in our game, getting caught out a couple times. Granted, maybe that's support's fault. You can just blame the support, right? Come and protect me. But no, it goes both ways. I will say, I don't know the reasoning, but it looks like they lost 2 bans in their game.
Yeah, I don't
Don't
know.
know. I mean,
Don't
that's
know
more
about
of,
that
I
one.
guess, whenever we get to the team rankings, but that potentially played a little bit of a factor. But only dropping one spot, still being in the top 6, and your team only has 1 win, I think. So not a bad spot to be. Top 5 in our, I think, 5-minute run.
Oh, we got 5 minutes. All right. He's number 5.
BKS.
That guy.
Uh,
BK's has turned it on recently. I mean, you guys have been putting work in solo queue, which I think has been helping him.
yeah,
Started off a little bit shaky. You could tell he was uncomfortable in the role. But stats like him, I think had him at 7. After we'll call it the blizzard in week 1.
true.
So moving on up.
Yeah, we're
I've been pretty happy.
yeah. I mean, a player that's playing off role has been top lane for quite a while. So against his will, being forced to play with me in the bot lane. Um, every week we're getting better, figuring out what champs and what comps we like to run down there. I actually think that our last game we played uh, two comps as far as bot lane goes that we have never played or practiced. So I don't know. We're just getting a little spicy down there, at least as far as together. So uh, we're getting there and surprised in a good way and cracking the top five. Uh, the goal is for him to pass Salo whenever at the end of the split. So that's the battle. We'll see.
We'll see, indeed.
Number 4, 4 minutes left. Chrome alone, swapping back to 80 carry.
Already agree. My bad.
With Efron. So Efron going mid, Chrome alone going 80 carry. Doing enough to crack the top 4. TFF, of course, playing well as of recent. A good showing on the Misfortune. I say a decent showing on the Jinx. Still won that game, so they didn't have to do anything too crazy. But doing some good damage and the best CS in all their games as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough, right? Because it's their first game back on 80 carry. I think they performed really well. I think switching back to 80 carry is probably harder than switching from 80 carry to mid. I think them and Poodle played really well and does a lot of damage for his team. So it's a good combination to be a good 80 carry.
Yeah, and on a team that's trending in the right direction, so I could see them staying top 5 for a long time. And I guess Chrome alone was not on the rankings last week. Efron was number 4, so Chrome alone's number 4. Coincidence? Also,
I think
go ahead.
yeah, the mid stayed the same too, despite the swap. So it's kind of interesting.
One Hand was also third last week, is going to stay third again as well this week. Good showing against the weaker team.
No.
But did play well. Played an Ashe game, played a Kaisa game. Seemingly did really well. Of course, the rest of the team also popped off, so it's who did the best. Doesn't really matter. You got the 2-0 win. Just no reason to move them down after playing well.
Yeah, it's weird because honestly, just playing teams below you doesn't really help you in these rankings, especially if you're already putting up good numbers. But it definitely could hurt you. So honestly, just getting the win and playing decent, it makes sense that he just stays the same.
Yeah, and following the trend of the top 4 and people staying the same from last week, number 2 is going to be Kakino for OTLO.
Kino got the series MVP from me in my little write-up. I've been performing really, really well. I think really popped off this last week. Their KDA looks crazy now, which KDA is and everything. But it is pretty important when you're an ADC because you can't do damage if you're dead. So, I mean, hitting all the right numbers. I think between the top of the table here at ADC, outside of Nike Dragon, spots 2 through 4, 2 through 5, 2 through 6, are all really good players. I think not TD. ADC is probably one of the deepest roles in Sentinel, which is good.
Yeah, I'd agree. Kakino staying at 2, Nike Dragon, of course, staying at the top of the mountain, number 1. It's definitely just all of these teams are playing well, and the players are continuing to put up numbers. So it's just tough to justify. Even if one week, if you're ranked 2, you might have slightly better stats than number 1, or if you're 3, you might have slightly better stats than number 2, just maybe not enough to justify the swap. I mean, the top two, maybe top three, maybe top four, maybe top five. I don't know. Very crowded room at the top, I would say. So, number one versus number two tomorrow night on LXC's stream. So that'll be an interesting one to watch. And perfect timing. We're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be back with support and team rankings to round out the stream.
What up, everybody? We have support rankings to get through, and then we have the team rankings, and then that's kind of it. I mean, we might go over the matchups once again once the team rankings are out, because it's always good to see like somebody like highlight any hype matchups, so to speak. But um, not much left here for this
Except for
stream.
the most important role.
So yeah, except for the most important role. I will say quite a bit of shakeup at the top for support. So you'll have to see how it goes as we move on up the list. But everybody knows who's going to be number 14. CW, no surprise there. So getting on up. Let's talk about 13.
OSG Novocaine. Want to say once again?
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
swapped 2 weeks ago from jungle and has stayed in support. Just, I mean, there's been some good things, especially like when I saw them play in the bot against TFF. It's just haven't won a game. So that's gonna hurt.
Yeah, no wins and just not many. Well, not many stats to go off of in general from support, I guess, but also just stats overall in the team kind of slacking. So only up from here. Number 12 is going to be Brute Souls, falling one spot from 11
One
last
spot.
week.
Yeah. I think justified, right? The Leona pick into Braum was questionable. I don't know if that just means there's champion pool issues or a lack of understanding of why that would be bad. Um, and then just like at the end of the day, like their bot lane kind of existed, right? Like I just BLM kind of for better or for worse, like if Drakenrich isn't going, there's not a lot else happening for them. So definitely something that I like to see improve. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd,
I mean, this is your list. Oh, not this isn't your list,
whoa,
but this is
whoa, whoa.
this is
This is
this is
my
your
role.
role.
You
So
played
you
this
tell
role. What you
me.
mean? Spanish role? No, I'd say similar things. I mean, similar to what we said whenever we talked about Stoic. I didn't necessarily love either of the champion picks. Granted, comfort does go a long way. Um, not that necessarily like stats weren't anything crazy different. At least game one. But I don't know. I didn't care for the picks, and it seemed to be one of the weaker bot lanes compared to the other ones that we've played. So yeah, number 12. Number 11, Dorsky. They had a bye this week, so nothing to go off of. Dorsky was ranked 9th last week, so dropped 2 spots.
Yeah, it's just tough when you have a bye. uh, Not that Dorsky did anything wrong. It just there ended up we're trying to get rid of ties. There ended up being a lot of ties here. The next couple spots. And when you're not winning consistently and the stats aren't there to back you up, there's just going to be shaking and moving, and Dorsky didn't get to defend his position with the bye. So
yeah, mercy of the bye. Okay. Also dropping 2 spots, dropping from 8th to 10th is Adrian Legitness for RAR.
yeah, I could talk a
So
little bit about it.
yeah,
The stats are still kind of high
really.
on
After
Adrian.
last 2
Um,
games.
Higher than you would think. Have him at 8th. Still has really good vision, but since then, everything else has fallen off.
Mm.
So
Broke out the Pantheon
uh,
support.
yeah.
Getting crazy with it.
Uh,
It's fun.
then
It's fun at least.
yeah, it's at the end of the day, we're playing to have fun.
Yeah.
So as long as they're doing that, that's a win. But unfortunately, they lost. So gotta get hit.
Yeah. Moving on to number 9 is going to be Slivik dropping from 6th to 9th.
Just the theme
HPB,
of HPB.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just overall, just back-to-back not great performance weeks. I still think Slivic is a solid support. Um, Similar to Key, I think their bot lane is still pretty strong. It just seems like something changed from the first week and even the first game when we played them. So yeah, I mean they have definitely a bounce back opportunity. It'll be the ninth rank versus 10th rank support this next week. Just I would say not some not so great showings the last couple weeks brought you down. Moving on to number 8.
Yeah. I got nothing.
Never knows best. So jumping up 4 spots.
Yeah. A combination of, I think, the people above them getting hit. And then, honestly, when DPH does well, it's the combination of Rico and Never Knows Best. So I think getting recognized for that at the same time. I don't remember what stats had them at, but I remember being surprised. I had them in the top 5 for stats. So
Yeah, I mean, it looked like they had at least 2 good showings, despite losing 1-2 to Veracity. Had a solid showing on the Lux in their loss. Pulled out the spicy Alistar. Don't see a ton of that. In their game with 0-3-21 with 117 vision. So solid showing there. And then game 3, not so great on the Bard, but
yeah,
it is
the
what it
game
is.
3 draft is
That was for fun.
just
That was good. You want to have
it
fun today?
would it looked like a for fun comp.
Yeah, but enough to jump 4 spots. So, Mama, we
Yeah,
made it. Top half.
top half. I mean, we talked about before how week 1 kind of messed you up in terms of how the stats like you.
Yeah, it is what it is. I got to play half a
It's
game.
starting to even out. Starting to even out. And I expect I mean, as long as Rivals keeps doing well, doing well, you know, you'll benefit. So just don't mess up.
That's crazy. I ranked myself at number 1, and I only got 7th on this list.
Yeah,
That's
he didn't rank
crazy.
himself at number 1, so there's already people out for me. I don't want them being out for you.
Nah. I'm chilling. 7's cool. I mean, I'm happy to get out of the double digits, and so we'll take it as a win, as we're still scaling. So,
Let's get it.
I don't see who I play tomorrow yet, so that means they're above me, and means I have to try tomorrow.
Yep. I hope you're trying all the time.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. All right, the 2 barbarians side by side. Number 6 is Barbaric Champion. Actually, I want to say I jumped up from 10th to 7th. Barbaric Champion. Oh, didn't mean to say it like that, but I moved up. But Barbaric Champion dropping just 1 spot. I'm assuming it's because of people jumping them, not necessarily because of them falling.
Yeah.
As they had a good games against OSGA.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean 1-1-25 on the Brahms, pretty nasty. Of course, it's a great pairing with an Ash 80 carry. And then another solid game on the Rakan. Potentially just a mix of playing a weaker team, despite you popping off, and I think really just the top 5 other players playing very well.
Let me look at the stats.
Check the
We're talking
stats.
about
Barbaric.
Barbaric.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, Barbaric is 6th.
Okay.
Stats wise. So
Okay.
it's tough because one hand's doing so well. You'd think Barbaric's up there. The support pool in Sentinel, like the ADC pool, is actually pretty good. So, there's gonna be some surprises, but Barbaric being where they are, I think moving down 1 really isn't much. All things considered, I would say anything like if you're moving 3, 4, 5 spots, then it's like whoa. But
Yeah.
moving down 1 means you're pretty much just on par with how you've been playing. Just a little bit of variation. So
Lunar Paw also gonna drop one spot. Another support that had a good weeks, similar to Barbaric. Um, gonna drop a spot. I assume kind of a similar story. Still good on the stats, top 5, 6. I'm gonna assume on a good team, undefeated team, and go ahead.
You'd assume wrong.
What?
So Lunarfa stats wise is actually seventh, which
I
is
mean, that's
surprising.
close.
You're close. You were
That's
one off
close.
though, so you were wrong.
True.
Um, I was surprised seeing the stats the way that they shaped up to be. I think you know 7 really isn't that big of a deal. I think when you're getting into the support stats, there really isn't that much variation. It's really looking at, I mean, it's looking at everything else for all the different roles. It's looking at everything. But vision score is probably the most weighted for support. It is the most weighted for support performances, as well as KP. And so good supports, they're gonna put up similar stats. So to say that Lunar Paw seventh just means that, like I said, there's a lot of good supports in Sentinel.
Okay. Fair enough. I ranked them higher. That's okay. Fifth.
Hmm.
Fifth is still good. Fifth is still chilling. Number 4 is going to be VCY Scarlet, jumping from 7th up to 4th.
Yeah. Could have been higher, probably, maybe. Stats had him at number 1. Scarlet, she has been performing very well. I don't know uh what caused the jump between. I didn't really look between last week and this week. I know she was up there before, but has since taken the number 1 spot. So, in terms of stats wise, so good to see from the Veracity support.
Yeah. I guess I need to do a little bit of homework tomorrow before the game.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I actually enjoy playing against solid supports, so we will see how it goes. No surprise, it was top half already, so expected to stay here.
Yeah.
Top 3. At number 3, Triumphant. I believe has been top 3 every week.
Was number 1 every week.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. So a mix of them losing, and the other 2 people that we have not seen on the list yet. They won. I think the top kind of 3, 4 have, I guess 3 this week, have been kind of in the same conversation, I would say, the whole time. So I wouldn't say super surprised since they did lose 0-2, but definitely still a solid player.
Like I was saying, like the stats for supports, like the difference is razor thin. So if you lose, it means your stats are going to take a hit. And so for Triumphant, it actually knocked it to number 3 in the stats department as well. So,
added 3 also, so it all checks out.
Yep. I would say one of the more aggressive supports in terms of getting out on the map. We've kind of covered that. So, I don't know. I like the way the NLE plays. At the same time, part of me thinks that Ferdy Triumphant, if Triumphant were to stick in lane a little bit more, could do some damage. So it's really going to be up to NLE, like how they want to approach. Maybe they don't overhaul anything, but after an 0-2 loss, like you kind of start to think, like, what can we start doing better? That, in my eyes, is what I expect Triumphant to kind of do, but who knows?
Yeah, I think maybe put Triumphant on like Yumi. I think it's probably good. I think they should try that one.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2. Who's it gonna be? It's gonna be Poodle at number 2. Was number 2 last week, so just a little bit of a flop, assuming we still have the same people on the list. I mean, good showing. I mean, TFF had a good showing overall. They played against Italy, so good little 2 versus 3 matchup, or I guess it was 1 versus 2 last week. But yeah, good showing. Had the Milio and the Prom, 2 champs we love to see. And just a good showing and a 2-0 win over Italy, so it makes sense that they didn't drop. You could make the argument that maybe Poodle could be number 1. I assume it's probably a mix of stats and me. I don't know. You can blame me.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of it's a little bit of you, a little bit of the stats. So Poodle remained number 2 in the stats. Scarlet actually jumped to number 1,
Mm.
like we talked about. So didn't get any help in the stats department. Didn't also get hurt. I think you moved Poodle up
Mm-hmm.
from week to week. I could be wrong.
Mine stayed the same,
Okay,
actually.
stayed the same.
But like I said, I mean, the top 4 for me are all kind of
Yeah, they're close.
mixed match. So no surprise. I
Uh,
think 1 and 2 are super close.
I think the next support you probably moved up,
That
which-
is correct. So
which
congrats to
is
Poodle
why
at
Poodle stayed
2.
the same.
And yeah, that is why I probably Ayoka I did put at number 1 on my list. So I assume they're top 3 in stats as well.
Top 4. You're always one off.
Whatever,
Ayoka
man.
number 4. So, like I said, razor thin margins. Ayoka's been killing it for PLW. Not number 1 in stats, but hard to argue against the team that hasn't lost a game.
Yeah, I mean, undefeated team and just a crazy great week this last week. I mean, 119 on the Milio and 116 on the Lulu. 2 KSs that should have probably marked you down a couple spots, but maybe they were solo bolos, who knows. But no, solid
Maybe.
showing every week, and it'll definitely be a good matchup to watch. Ayoka versus Lunar Paw tomorrow night.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the more you look at OCLO and PLW, the more reasons you have to get excited. Neither has dropped a single game. I think they're 6-0 in terms of games. So one team has to lose. It's just a matter of which one it's going to be. If you're Sector 1 Truthers, you're thinking it's going to be OCLO. I think,
No.
or you think it's going to be, sorry, I got ahead of myself. You think it's going to be PLW. If you're a Sector 2 believer, you think it's going to be OTLO. In my honest opinion, I think it's like a coin toss. I think if these teams played 10 times, they might even just go 5-5. So I'm excited to see what ends up happening. I hope everybody else is as well. I'm glad it's going to be the stream game, so everybody can watch. Even though they're in, their own games, go back and watch the VOD or
Yeah. Sure.
whatever it might be. The team rankings are up.
Okay. Look at you go. Perfect timing.
Yeah, stalling for
Yeah.
them to upload. Full disclosure,
Don't.
like I said, what?
What?
I'll just say, like I said, I've been busy, so I wasn't able to do the stats portion for this ranking the way I would like. I somebody, I don't remember who it was, said that the stats probably have to be weighted a little bit differently when it comes to overall team rankings. I don't think I took into account objectives enough, and I wanted to come up with a way to put that in there fairly, because I think teams that get a lot of turret plating early means that they're probably pretty good in the early game, which is a big thing. Teams that are securing dragons and barons and stuff, it's also a
my.
big thing. So I wasn't able to do that. I hope I have it ready for next week, especially coming off of Rivals Week. I want it to be accurately reflected the strength of the teams, because that'll be the one time that every matchup is cross division, and my hope is that it gives us a clear picture, but there's also a chance that it might muddy the waters a little bit. But either way, I think for the most part, There's there's two, maybe three things that might be surprising with this ranking, so you guys can let us know. Um,
Uh-oh.
but number 14, of course, CEW. May they rest in
No
peace.
surprise there.
But clocking in at number 13, um, gonna be
OSGA.
yeah.
No change. I mean, they were like maybe 11th or 12th in preseason, but they've been last place, unfortunately, the last few weeks. I don't see that really changing unless they pick up an actual match win. I was trying to see who
So
they.
I think with OSGA, part of the issue for them has been they've yet to take a single game.
Mm,
They're 0-6 right now in games. So that's always tough. Um, they've played good teams close, especially like I said, that TFF series. Uh, until they start winning some games, it's you can't really justify putting them above anybody that has already won some.
yeah.
So if you go winless, don't expect them to move. I am an OSJ believer. I think they could pull out some victories. The problem is when you're a team that has gone winless and you're in the toughest division, uh, the wins are going to be few and far between. And I would have said, the cross division rivals week would be so big for them, but they
It will
they
be.
got matched. Oh no, I mean yeah, but
Eventually
they
they
got
win.
matched against they got matched against contingent, so they really can't show something different against
Yeah.
Sector 2 because they don't get to play.
Yeah. True.
So it's
Free
just
win.
tough. It's a tough place to be.
Free win though. Free win though. So
Yeah.
they will get bump up a little bit. Number 12 is Dropping Point Hellfire, I assume. So
Yep.
DPH at 12. I don't have it pulled up what they were last week.
Same spot, I think.
I assume
Um,
same.
the difference between those two is DPH has gotten game wins. So haven't got the match series victory yet, but they have shown some good things. So
Yeah, I think
that's the difference between them and OSGA, I guess.
and they have a chance. Of course, they're in Division 2, RAR right next to them, so they have a chance to make the playoffs. And I think I don't think they're 12th. I can see them 9th, 10th, somewhere in there, but we'll see. Doesn't matter until you actually win.
You need to upload the week 2 VOD.
Yeah, true. I have
'Cause
everything downloaded. I just don't have it.
yeah, I was
We'll
trying
see.
to pull up the last week rankings, and I don't
Yeah.
think I can see them.
Speaking of, the other winless team is going to be RAR at 11th. They
Yep.
were at 9th last week. I think that's maybe partially due to my hopefulness. But yeah, 11th is just no more freebies. You haven't won, so here you are.
Uh-huh. So with Roar has 2 wins as well. I think they're tied, not wins, but game victories, I should say. I think they're tied with DPH in terms of that. Um, Stats are a little bit higher on Roar in terms of players, so that's why you see the difference. I think when DPH and Roar play, anything can happen. I don't know which team would win. So one team has to be ranked above the other, so that's how you get it.
I hope whoever wins, it's like a demanding win, so that way we have some clarity.
Yeah.
Number 10 is going to be Braum Lives Matter. It's easy to say no bias, so we'll stick with that. They did drop from 4th to 10th. Granted, maybe they were one of the teams that had like a weird schedule of who they had played. I think that might be the
Yeah,
case.
so I can pull up the schedule,
They
but
beat CE and they beat DPH, so it was kind of a unsure of if they were actually 4th or not. So that's why they fell pretty hard because they did take an 0-2 loss to us.
Yeah, they did drop a game to DPH as well. So I don't know. I mean, it's anybody's guess for uh the strength of Sector 2. Um, BLM being here means that you can probably gander that a lot of Sector 1 teams are ranked a little bit higher. But yeah,
Number
I don't know.
9.
That was one of the more surprising ones for me.
Okay,
Anyways,
okay. Fair. Well, I will say we played both of these teams, and I put HP above them for sure. So
yeah,
HP, kind of a weaker last 2 weeks. Granted, they were 10th on the rankings last week. They jumped a spot despite still losing, but they played a good team, and it's really just teams dropping below them more so than them moving up.
yeah,
Still think they have potential. Still think they have some good players. They just kind of need to figure it out.
yeah. That Roar matchup is looking more and more like a clarifying win if they pick it up. But if they lose, then it's like, oof. Was HP just hot week 1 and since then it's kind of fallen off. Who knows? But uh, Red Sharky in the chat saying that there's gonna be some surprises for them. So we'll see.
We shall see. Number 8 is going to be OSGS. They, of course, had, I say a bye, I guess a free win, but they did not play last week. So they did drop from 6th to 8th, just because of other teams shitting around. But 2 spots isn't really anything to scoff at since you didn't actually play.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're looking at the teams around them, it makes sense that they're close to HPB, right? I don't know if they're. Let me look at the standings. I don't know if they're considered. Okay, so yeah, they are considered 2-1, even though it's really 1-1 because of the bye.
Yeah, we can cancel the free
Um,
win.
yeah, so I mean, the record probably not indicative of how strong this team is. I think they're kind of close to HPB, so it makes sense that they're right there. We're right there with them.
Yeah. Cracking the top half of the list at number 7 is
This is the other surprising one.
NLE.
Dropping from 1 to 7th. Now I
Okay,
will say
so
I think CB was relying on me and the stats maybe a little bit
well,
with
okay,
this.
so what I did was, and I consciously thought about this. I did not go off of the rankings from last week and then change people based on that. I feel like it makes more sense for my rankings to stay based off of my rankings and then yours to stay off of yours. And then when we put them together, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's not necessarily that NLE dropped from 1 to 7. They were 4th on my list, and then they lost 0-2.
Yeah.
And so that's why they
Yeah.
fell to 7. So looking at it, yeah, from last week, it's like, oh, they went from 1 to 7. That's insane. But it's really they went
CB's
from 4th to
eyes,
7.
it's really 3. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's my
think,
justification.
you know, I can theorize all I want. I think if I put the stats in, it would have been nice for NLE. It might have put them back up a couple spots, but um, when you lose 0-2, it's gonna hurt. Uh, and so, you know,
Yeah,
who knows?
I'm an NLE fan. Okay, I'm an NLE fan. I'm
Yeah.
just saying they beat us. We had 2 players DC. It's just an excuse. They beat us. A win's a win.
We're
And
we're we're making
and
a
and they beat RAR 2-1, and then they lost 0-2. And so I'm
yeah.
just looking for the quality win, and that's all it is. And they'll have the
Mhm.
opportunity.
The rivals one was scuffed. That's why CB doesn't consider it quality. But anyways,
I still
um, I
count as a win. It's still a win. I'm just saying.
I I will be. I think they're hungry for this cross division week, and I feel kind of bad for DPH that they
Yeah,
got slotted against
it
them.
comes back.
Veracity at 6, so winning and moving down last week, winning again and moving up, or losing. No, they lost one game and then they won 2-1. It's late. I've been
Yeah, I
doing a
don't know.
lot of
They
stuff.
moved up. They
Uh,
moved up a spot on my list for what it's worth. So
yeah.
last week on the official list they were 11. So either way, they moved up regardless. So
A big
uh,
thing that the stats look at is how efficient you are at getting gold. I think Veracity might struggle with. I don't know if it's wave management. I think they drop waves, or something's happening where they're losing a good chunk of gold compared to the rest of the teams, which is why I think they got hit so hard last week. Good to see it move up. Um, don't know if I agree that they're ahead of NLE, but uh, thanks. I mean, they're close.
yeah, okay, that's cool. We can agree that they're close.
They're close.
Either way, top seven's chilling.
Yeah.
Number 5 is gonna be TD Blessed 2-1 team. Some solid showings. What do you guys say?
This one I referred to this team as like
They
what
were
did I say?
seventh
It was
last
a
week.
Winston. It was like a Winston Churchill quote where it's like they're enigma, or they're a riddle wrapped in an enigma shrouded in
Mm,
mystery, because they've beaten the two worst teams in the league,
true.
and they lost against the one good team they
Yeah,
played against.
yeah.
So to have them at 5 is a little surprising for me. I think they might be below Veracity and LE.
Potentially, we just haven't.
Maybe
There's
it.
not hasn't been an opportunity to really say it one way or the other. So I see both sides of it. So agree.
Yeah. So I like.
That could be one, or
I
that could be two.
for their record and the sector that they're in, it makes sense. But then you look at like who they beat, and it's like, have you really shown us anything? I'm of the opinion that maybe not quite, but who knows? I think next week will be good for them if they pick up the win.
Okay, true. We have 3 minutes to speedrun 4 teams.
All right, or
And,
we just do one and leave the top three.
nah, I gotta go to bed. I gotta go to bed, man. So we can speedrun this team for sure. Call it bias, call it what you want.
Yeah.
I put us at 4th. Granted, last week I had us at 6th. So I had us jumping 2 spots. Uh, I don't know.
Yeah,
It was
it's
our
just
best
tough.
showing. Go
It's
ahead.
our best showing, but then you have BLM ranked 10th, so it's like,
Was it?
we
Would you say it was a close game?
no. I mean, game one was close. Game two was kind of a stomp. Um,
True.
I say game one close. Game one just took a while to close out. It's just,
That's rigged,
I don't
man.
know. It's rigged.
That's rigged, man.
Rivals of fours are rigged.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
just, I think, I think we're trending in the right direction. I think we're top 5 for sure, but
Well, okay then. What are you crying about?
we just gotta keep proving it. I don't know. I'm
True.
not crying about it. I'm just trying to justify because I know some people will be mad.
It is what it
Some people
is. We
stay
ain't even
mad.
top 3.
We're
I
not
didn't
even
even get a
top
medal. I
3.
didn't even get a medal yet. All right, TFF at
TFF,
3. I've had them high on my list the whole time.
you're
Last
at
two
8.
weeks,
Yeah.
they looked really good. They were 8th last week. Not on my list. My list, they were
Hmm.
3rd last week, so I still have them at 3. Just tough to jump the other 2 teams that hint the 2 undefeated teams. So, but I don't know. I think I'm confident TFF's a top 5 team for sure. And it seems like they're figuring it out.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see what the stats think of them now after the 2-0 win. I just know they weren't very high on them before, so number 3 makes sense to me. OTLO at number 2, sector bias.
maybe some sector
Uh,
bias.
no, I think especially with the new top laner coming in, it's hard to justify putting them at number 1 because we don't know how they really look with that new top. But number 2 is a great place to be.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think OTLO. I don't want to say they don't have a quality win, because they played some decent teams. They played Veracity, right? Granted, Veracity said it was their off week. Who knows? I think it's more of that PLW just looks crazy solid, and they've been
Hmm.
kind of number 1 since the beginning. So it's just gonna be impossible to jump them unless you beat them tomorrow night.
So obviously PLW number 1, 30 seconds to talk about them. Really solid. I think they have the formula for success in terms of like what their players offer, what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think OTLO is going to be a big test for them. They did beat TFF. I don't think TFF had what they were trying to do put together yet. It would be interesting to see a rematch.
Yeah,
Won't happen till playoffs, but PLW deserving a number 1.
yeah. Um, so there you have it. Tomorrow night, our game will be streamed. So 4th rank versus 6th rank, and 1 versus 2 will also be streamed on LXC. And that's it for tonight.
That's it for tonight. Uh, we appreciate some good drama. I hope you guys know that. I don't even know if you guys can hear me. It's probably
Some
not,
people.
but hope you guys know it's all for good fun. It's all just to generate excitement, which I think is what it is doing. It's good to see the support you guys have for it. So we'll keep doing it. Don't get too upset if you're not ranked too high. It just means you can improve,
Just
and
just be
that's
better.
that's all it is. Just be better. All right, guys. You have a wonderful night.
Yup.
Righteous and CB signing off. You'll see me tomorrow. CB will be playing, and then after that, maybe tomorrow we'll talk about some things we might be cooking up for some events. So
True.